Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Operational Reset Podcast. This is brought to you by Joe Swanson Tactical. At the heart of it, Operational Reset Stack Method. This is the heart of the Tactical Resilience Workshop. It is also the heart of my coaching. I feel that most people that are in that burnout, searching for meaning, lost a little bit of that passion. It happens because we're dysregulated. I know that happened to me. And when we can fix the regulation, the nervous system becomes more flexible, and you have that capacity, that energy to make those habits that create meaning in one's life more consistent. And so this is what it's all about. I try to bring on different interesting guests to this podcast, and this is what it's all about today. I'm super excited to have a chat with the guest today, who worked in the same department I worked in as a law enforcement officer, and has come out and done some really interesting, creative things post-retirement. And so welcome to the show, Eric Priessman.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Glad to be here.
Man, so happy that you, came to join. Let me move this. I'm going to move this screen down a little bit. Let's see. It goes this way right here, just so I'm not looking up at my monitor. But Eric, I appreciate you coming on. I always find it super fascinating to talk to people who have, just a little bit different path. And that for me was certainly the case coming into law enforcement, as a tattoo artist back in the late 90s and then early 2000s when, not one out of every three people in the country is tattooed now. It was much different back then.
I'm representing.
Amazing.
I'm representing.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I want to get into it. I have a koi fish too,
exactly,
right there.
Dude. Exactly.
Boom.
And they're the same color.
Look at that.
Nice.
It's amazing. Swimming upstream too.
It cannot go down your arm. It has to go up your arm.
That's right. I love it, man. Well, we'll get into it. I'd love to, talk about your tattoo experience too. But I remember, we before hitting record here, we were talking a little bit about the academy, and that you had seen me up at the academy at some point, likely for an in-service training. And I talk about the story of my academy time, quite fondly, because I knew going into it, Eric, that it was going to be a game. I knew that it was going to be like this, this experience that was something I'll never forget. And that certainly was the case going in with full sleeves and to a super conservative department that didn't know what to do.
You had the deck stacked against you.
I did.
Willingly.
I was just happy to be there. They kicked me out to the room, said, "You better get in long sleeves. I'm tired of seeing this." Sergeant Cooper, who I ended up working for in Oakland.
Oh, wow.
Great guy. Did you?
No, I just knew him from the academy. He was a character. He was a character,
a great guy. When I first went in, he was right in my face and just like, "I'm tired of looking at these already." And I remember going back like later that day, they pulled me into the staff office, which day one is just like nerve wracking, right?
Yeah.
And made me show them all my tattoos and what I had, and they wrote them all down. And but yeah, it was quite an experience. What was that like? When did you come in, and what was that experience for you like?
So I was 8.5 years in the Air Force when I joined the department. I was in the Air Force 8.5 years. I was coming up on the time when I was going to have to re-enlist for another 4, and that would put me past 10. And like, if you're gonna go past 10, you might as well stay the 20. If you're going to get out before the 10. So my wife and I at the time, had the discussion. It's like, no, let's bail. The career field I was in was high ops tempo and stuff like that. And as it so happens, I got out right before. I joined right after Desert Storm, and I got out right before 9/11.
Oh,
so
wow.
I served in a period of calmness, relative calmness, had I stayed in and 9/11 happened, one of my troops earned, a guy that I supervised in the Air Force, he earned a Silver Star.
Oh,
in the Air
wow.
Force. So yeah, he saw some stuff. Anyway, so I got out, and I'm from California, by and large, and I wanted a job that what I was doing in the military is I called in airstrikes. There's not really much use for that in a civilian, and I'm not. And unless you're in a war zone, you're not really making a difference. So I wanted a job that I could do something I'd go home at the end of the day and feel good about. So I applied for the Highway Patrol, and it was a little over a year, like it was back then, about a year,
Yeah.
15 months, something like that, from beginning to going. And I got out, moved back to California, waited for the academy, and started. So when you said a couple seconds ago, when you said that it was a game, I didn't know what you meant by that. For me, the paramilitary aspect of the academy and stuff, and they're going to yell at you, make you do push-ups. I was like, whatever, whatever,
You'd
dude.
already been through it.
Yeah, and I was 31 at the time, so I wasn't a kid.
Okay.
I'd been around a little bit, so I was like, I could handle all that totally fine. I'm like, okay, I'll do as many push-ups as I can till my arms fail. You're not going to get any more. It
Right.
doesn't work. So that part didn't bother me. I would never like go back to the academy, but those 6 months, yeah, they were a part of my life. They were. Can I say I look back at it fondly? Yeah, maybe. Parts of it and stuff like that. Other parts, not so much. Knuckle push-ups were never fun.
Yeah,
You
they
know
were.
what I mean?
I
But
appreciate them now. I mean, I do appreciate that time. Like for me,
yeah,
different experience. I had been, when the recruiter would call me when I was 17 or 18, I was like, nobody, you're not getting, I don't want to take this call. I'm going skateboarding today.
yeah,
And so I never had that. My grandfather was a Marine, but I wasn't connected to his experience until
okay,
later in my life. And my dad wasn't in the military, nobody was in law enforcement. And so, yeah, when I say it was kind of like a game, I knew that it was going to be paramilitary, very like regimented, and I was ready for it. I was
yeah,
interested in it. And I was just happy as a 27-year-old with two young kids to have this like real, if the shit's going to hit the fan, I know that I'm going to have this job and it's going to be okay.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it was interesting. So tell me about the time where you saw me at the academy. Like, what
So
was
I
that?
think we it was in the cafeteria.
Okay.
I would bet $5 that you were sitting at the staff table.
Mm,
And so I don't know what that meant, if why you were getting to sit there. That's just the picture I have in my head. And at that time, you were in tans. You had to have been in short sleeves, otherwise I wouldn't have noticed the
mm,
tats, I don't think.
yeah.
But I can't swear to that part. I'd bet money that you were sitting at the staff table and it was mealtime. I'm just gonna guess lunch. And
Yeah.
that's literally it. And then I think I might have seen your face or your tats and stuff, maybe, I don't know, in an APB article along the years, or somewhere in print.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I know who that person is vaguely. So that's it. And then, like I said, I don't even remember right now how we came across each other for these purposes. I don't remember.
Yeah. Probably Instagram.
Instagram, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I had done a reel about the EVOC course,
Okay.
and just it was one of my favorite parts of the academy was EVOC, driving that high speed track. You know,
Um, I want to show. I can remember. I can't. His last name was Barnes, another cadet in my class. The first time we went out to the EVOC course, and the first time we got to sit in a police car, he's in the car next to me. We're there by ourselves, and literally, dude, we looked at each other, and there's just this giddiness of I'm sitting
yeah,
in a police car. This is so
yeah,
cool. It was
yeah,
just so much. Yeah, I got to say, EVOC was skid pan sucked. I didn't do well on skid
really.
pan. I'm
See,
I'm a city boy. I never had my dad's pickup truck to go out mudding in the back 40. I never did that. So that was a challenge for me. The rest of it was fine.
yeah, I grew up in Minnesota, and
Okay.
in the winter it was like hard e-brake,
Yeah.
and like rear wheel drive was amazing. You'd go
Yeah.
around corners, and I remember being driven to school, and my mom's, we're cruising in her little Plymouth Horizon, and she goes around the corner, and it's, me, my sister, and my brother, and two, other
Hmm.
neighborhood kids going to school. And she spun a 360 accidentally.
Yeah.
It's just ice was there,
Skid
and
pan was the introduction to that for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. I
Yeah.
remember, just being stoked like the day I got to go skid pan. This is going to be
Yeah.
so fun, and the high speed track was,
I
you
love
know,
the high speed track.
there's nothing like it to be able to
Mm-mm.
just pin it out around that, 105. For us, it was about 105 mile an
Yeah.
hour corner, and
Yeah.
then hit that 90 degree corner.
Yeah. I
Man,
loved high speed.
so cool.
Yeah.
And then to see those guys who were EVOC instructors,
Oh, doing the display, the demonstration stuff,
yeah,
that's insane.
insane, like 360, the arm out the window, waving at people, and
And then
um,
merging back into their slot in the train and stuff. Yeah.
yep, yep,
Crazy.
so cool, man. I have a great poster that I got up at the academy. At one point, I was there, and I went to the media department, and I have uh, the poster, two posters that I got from that media department. The one is the Hells Angels standing outside of the correctional facility in Colorado, and it says, "Are you ready for the what was the fitness test that we did every year?"
The
Um,
Not the pork run at the beginning, right?
oh, let me look at it.
Okay.
Uh, PPT.
Okay.
It said, "Are you ready for the PPT?" They are. And it was like just a bunch of big buff guys.
Yeah.
And it used to hang down at the bottom of the PT staff
Yeah.
offices. I got that one, and I got the helicopter driving behind the,
Yeah.
all of the cars lined up.
Yeah.
And I got to get that one, at some point framed and hung
Yeah.
up somewhere. But
Yeah.
um,
Wow, you're
so
bringing back memories, man.
dude, for real. Yeah, it's like really, really fun. Again, yeah, at the end of that 26, 28 weeks, whatever it is, I was ready to be done.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure.
I
For
was ready
sure.
to not be living with three other guys,
For sure.
but it was something that I will always look back fondly about
Absolutely.
in
Absolutely.
those experiences. So, where did you go out of the academy?
I broke in Newhall.
Okay.
I broke in Newhall, and then I was there for just a year for probation. We bought a house in Lancaster in the Antelope Valley, so we moved. I transferred up there. We were there for a little under a year, and then we went up to Mariposa, which is right outside Yosemite.
Okay.
And I was there for another 8 years before I came back to Newhall and finished my career last 11 years, 10 years, 11 or 12 years in Newhall.
Wow. And did you do most everything patrol?
Excuse me. Yes, I did patrol. I don't ride a bike. Don't know how to ride a motorcycle. I was patrol for 15 years, and then I came inside first to be front desk officer
Yep.
for a few years, and then I went to the misdemeanor court officer and retired
Oh,
out of
cool.
there. I came in. I'd been on the road, and I just, I was filling up. I was getting up to here. It's like
Yeah.
I need to come off the road. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That capacity, I talk about this a lot. It's like I was just talking to one of my FTOs, my third phase FTO,
Mm,
incredible dude, has an insane capacity. Like got shot on the job, gotten an accident that, shattered his pelvis
hmm
and 17 ribs and ruptured
hmm
his lungs and like the whole thing. And he's
hmm
back on the road, both times.
Yeah.
And, at some point that catches up to you. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
your resilient capacity can be very, very high, but at some point that load
Yeah.
it's going to take a toll on you.
Yeah, yeah. Whether we talk about it now or get to it, that was a big factor in me choosing to retire when I did. You know,
Yeah. Love to hear about it. Like talk a little
so
bit about that.
so 2020 was an interesting year with COVID and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff. Just put everybody through the ringer, and this is difficult to talk about because you don't know where everybody stands. I don't on this particular topic. I don't know necessarily where you stand. I don't know where any reviewers stand or whatever. But everybody, has had their opinions about COVID and how the government dealt with it or whatever. And
Mhm.
we still came to work every day. And you're being subjected to everything that COVID is doing and causing to happen and stuff like that. And yet we're still expected to go to work. Do what you got to do. So that was tough, to begin with. And then the thing for me, the nail in the coffin was the whole George Floyd and BLM thing.
Yep.
Um, George Floyd happened, and it was extremely, especially being in the office. If I had been able to get into a patrol car and go out and patrol every day and
Hmm.
only see my fellow officers, at briefing or whatever, that would have been one thing. But I was in the office all day around, surrounded by the same people. And we're just going to put it this way: I was a minority. I was a minority in that respect with regards to politics, with regards to George Floyd and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to talk about wearing on you, being
Yeah.
surrounded by people who you don't see eye to eye with, who don't see the same way,
Uh-huh.
who, in my opinion, are like, dude, are you even human? You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, it's hard to talk about this because you don't know where people stand and you don't dare ask. You know what I mean? Because it's a can of worms.
I
Anyway, go ahead.
I just think like that is whether it's this topic of being in an office environment or just in general. Like I talk about this difference between, road stress and admin stress.
Hmm.
Admin being like what's the culture of your department? What's the
Yeah.
culture of inside
Yeah.
those walls? And it's a different way that that stress shows up on people because you couldn't get away from it, right? Like you
No.
said, if I was on patrol, I could go pull into a parking lot. I could just stay on my beat. I
Yep.
can, not have to talk to anybody. If I want to go 10-8 and just,
Write
run it,
tickets. Yep.
write tickets and do my thing, handle my
Yep.
accidents, and I can go do that. But when you're in the office, you're under that pressure all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's huge.
And then the other thing is when the riots. So I'm in LA. I'm in SoCal, and so BLM was huge in Los Angeles, stuff like that. So we're on 12s for, I don't know, it was like 3 weeks or something
Right.
like that. We were on 12s, and even prior to George Floyd, COVID, all this kind of stuff. And I really got to know this working in the office. You get people come into the office to get their ticket signed off or get a car at impound or whatever. And, they're going to complain to the front desk officer because that's part of the job or whatever.
Yeah.
And my first phase FTO, who I still worked with, he was still at New Hall and stuff like that, taught me this. He goes, everybody knows their rights, meaning the public. That's all. I know my rights. His response was, yeah, but do you know your responsibilities?
Mm,
Everybody knows their rights as a citizen. They think they do, but they've got them all mixed up.
sure.
What about your responsibilities to just do the right thing or to be courteous or just to be a nice person?
Right.
You know your rights, but what about your responsibility to not do 85 in a 55? What about your
Right.
responsibility to, just all kinds of things? And
Yeah.
so the pressure of people, the public, I got tired. I really felt like I was becoming and had been for a very long time a babysitter.
Mm,
And it's like I can't speak for every police officer in the world. I don't wake up. I didn't wake up, go 10-8, and do my job with the intent of making your life miserable. I got up, went 10-8, did my job with the intent of letting you get home safely or
right.
preventing a crime or something like that. If you can't appreciate what I'm doing and or take responsibility for what I'm calling you out on, i.e. speeding, seatbelts, what have
Right.
you, DUI, anything, I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm
Yeah.
done trying to save you from yourself.
Yeah. I think that gosh, dude, that tension, because I would say the strong majority of officers are out there with that intention,
Hmm.
right? I just want you to be home safe. I want you to take responsibility for these things. I'm not trying to violate
You're
your
not a
right.
bad person.
You're not a bad person. I'm not going to rub it in.
No.
And then there's the impactful minority of officers who lose their shit and are violating rights and are uneducated about that kind of stuff,
Their
and
badge
they're
is this big,
right, and that ego gets involved, and you see it all over social media now, and there's this
unfortunately.
tension that just grows and grows and grows around public perception and reality. And me personally, I'm happy to see, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm happy to see the First Amendment auditors out there pressure testing some
It
of this stuff.
it's annoying. Yes. Does it bother me? Not really.
Right.
Not really.
Yeah.
I got other things to worry about. You
Yeah.
know, it's to me, they are like the kid that they're like your sibling that goes, "I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not."
Yeah.
It's annoying as hell, but they're technically not touching you. So mom and dad aren't going to do anything.
Right. And brother or sister should just walk away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and just let them be. Because when you, and this is what they're doing, right? They're trying to pressure test that
Hmm.
space and see about that reaction.
Yeah.
And this also is what I talk about heavily is so many unregulated, dysregulated officers out there who, one, they're likely a little bit uneducated about what they're talking about, and then the dysregulation comes in and they have a hard time separating the ego from the experience, and they go off the rails,
Yeah.
you know.
Agreed.
As opposed to leading with curiosity and saying, hey, I don't know everything, you know, and if you're telling me something different, let me research it real quick, and let me ask, you know be let me have some voice of reason here. And maybe I'll learn something new. Like,
Yeah.
I always tried to lead with curiosity
Yeah.
and educate myself as much as possible. I was always looking at case law stuff. I was always looking at, you know, and there were times I got, jammed up by somebody the other day on a comment, was like, this real harsh comment. And I said, yeah, I've made mistakes. Like,
Sure.
in my career, I made mistakes. I, you know, was in a trunk that I wasn't supposed to be in based on the
Circumstance.
case law around
Yeah.
search and seizure. And so what did I do? The drugs that I found in that trunk, I didn't charge them for that. And I made a note of it in the report. And I had a great sergeant who talked me through that. He educated me about that. Said, "Hey, you weren't supposed to be in this trunk. This we can't charge for. We got to be honest and truthful about this thing. And this is how we write it." And the
Yeah.
DA is going to throw it out, and
Yeah.
it won't impact that person.
Right.
And you got to be upfront about that stuff. So
Own your
yeah, man,
mistake.
it's an interesting time
Yeah.
that we live in, that things can be so in the open. And I mean, I'm happy for the education that people can
Sure.
have and learn.
It's hard to be a police officer right now. I still go by the New Hall office and say hi to, some of the people I'm still friends with. And, the new faces on the picture board, there's more and more new faces. And I'm of two minds about it. One, some 22, 3, 4-year-old new kid gets on any department, ours, anybody else. I'm partially, hey, good on you. Thank you. Be safe. Do a good job. The other half of me is, what are you thinking? You know, what are
Yeah.
you thinking? Both because of the climate, but two, at least with the highway patrol, retirements are more distant. They're harder to, you got to go. So it's like, oh my God, you're 23 and you've got to go how long? And you're going to get how much? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just,
Look, it can be one of the most challenging professions, and it can be one of the most meaningful. I
yeah, for
think it
sure.
has to do with your perspective and your view and who you surround yourself with. Look, if you're going to surround yourself with the, crusty, shit talking guy in the back of the room or gal in the back of the room that just is going to complain about everything,
Yeah.
you're going to have a tough
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
But if you surround yourself with the right people and you become the influencer, and you lead where your 2 feet stand, which is what I always say, then you can have a meaningful career and you can really
Yeah.
do some good in the world. And is there more oversight to what you're doing? Sure. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
doing bullshit anyways. Like, so
Yeah. Oversight doesn't bother me. Micromanaging does. You know what I mean? Oversight shouldn't bother you if
yeah.
you're doing the right thing. So what?
Yes.
Just don't micromanage. That just gets in my way.
Brother, that is a huge one. And I hear
Yeah.
it all the time in my
Yeah.
DMs and
Well,
the
how many
officers
people
too.
how many people did you work with that specifically work weekends because that's less time that they're around management?
Yeah.
Captain's not there. There's just less people at the
Yep.
office. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
just get out of the way.
Freeway freeways were less crowded too. You could
Yeah.
pick up the pace a little bit. You
Yeah.
could get some higher speeds. I never minded working the weekends. Now, I never minded working the weekdays either, taking the
Yeah.
busy beat that just we're inundated with 1182s because you get to write those things so fast.
Weekdays is just it's just a grind. It's just next, next, next.
Yep.
Versus a
Yep.
weekend or a graveyard, you don't know what's just you get weird stuff all the time. But
Yeah.
you're working. Yeah, if you're working Monday through Friday in a if you're working weekdays in a busy city area, yeah, 1182s all day long, speeding, seatbelts, just next, next, next.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
A little bit of carpool in the morning.
yeah, just easy.
Yeah, for sure. So you were so at a certain point, I think it was 21 years you did, and you said, "Hey, my
Yeah,
cup is pretty full here."
yeah.
Um, that decision to retire, did you have plans for after that? Like, how did you lead up to that?
Right. So, George Floyd happened sometime, and I might get the dates wrong here. So I retire. I'm going to work backwards. I retired November of 21.
Okay.
George Floyd happened sometime in 2020, and we made the decision. I made the decision to retire in 2020, but I had just recently gotten married, and we needed to be married for a year for life insurance purposes, stuff like that. So from when I made the decision, I made the decision in like April or May of 2020. And for, as you know, for tax reasons, stuff, people always retire at the end of the year. So it meant that I was going to the end of 2021.
Okay.
Around the same time that I was making the decision to retire, not because I was going to retire, but just coincidentally around the same time, I had been working inside, like I said, at the front desk for a while. And over the course of a few years, I got a few people, not a lot, but a few people here and there. Hey, you've got a great voice for radio. Have you ever done commercials? I got,
Right.
that's what I got. And I'm like, I thought about it for a little bit. And I literally Googled, how do you become an audiobook narrator? And it, gave me choices and it pointed me here and it pointed me there. And that's literally how I started. So I was doing that in my off time while I was still working. And then I bought one of the little digital countdown calendars, clocks, and set it for however many days it was and just watched it get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah. So this is the fascinating thing for those of you that just heard that. Eric is a voice actor.
Yes.
And when we first connected, I was like, wow, so cool. Like that you took this, you were a police officer, you retired, and you turned your excitement into, of in life into something else.
Yeah.
And such a unique thing. That what was that process like? You were doing it that last year.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the first jobs? Like, how did it
So
go?
sure, sure. So audiobooks, voiceover and audiobooks, they're sort of the same umbrella. They're two slight distinctions. Obviously, voiceovers are, video games, commercials, whatnot. Audiobooks is narrating audiobooks. Um, but a lot of people tend to think, well, I can just jump on this and start making money. It's a marathon, not a sprint, for sure. So whenever you start this, you understand that you're going to be investing time and money, just chugga, 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 chugga,
Yeah.
until you get traction. So yeah, so I started, and the way it works in general for audiobooks, I don't do voiceover. I'm mainly audiobooks. There are websites. You're an author, let's say, and you write a book and you want to turn it into an audiobook. You put it out there on these certain websites, and people like me come and that's one that's interesting. I'll audition for it. You collect as many auditions as you want. You listen to them, and you go, you know what? I'm going to hire that person.
Interesting.
That's how it's made in a nutshell. And so again, in the beginning, before you have practice and training and tricks and stuff like that, it's hard to get hired. But you
Hmm.
start getting hired and you learn from every book you did, and you get coaching and better equipment and stuff like that. This studio I'm in now, this is where I record. This is a converted closet. Um, where I started was the house we had before had a under the stairs Harry Potter room, and
Nice.
the ceiling was literally like this tall. So that's where I recorded then. But like I said, we moved into this house. We converted this closet into a studio, and this is where I do
Wow.
it now.
What kind of coaching? Like, I'm always, dude, I am one about education,
Sure.
training, coaching, mentorship, all of that stuff is why I coach now, is because I was somebody who got coaching, who got
Yeah.
mentorship in business and life and fitness and in a lot of these different places. What does coaching look like for somebody that's doing what you're doing?
Um, Probably. Well, I don't know what it looks like on your end, so I can't say that. Actually it looks just like this podcast. You're the coach, I'm the student, and we're going to get together. And I'm going to say, all right, Joe, I'm going to read this for you, and tell me what you think. And I'm going to read you a paragraph or a half a page or whatever. And you go, okay,
Mhm.
stop. Let's try this. And it's very similar to what you see on TV with acting, because voiceover and audiobooks is acting. It is acting.
Yes.
And even the face. I'm acting with my face. You're not going to hear it on the book, or you're not going to see it on the book, but you will hear it on the book.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the dialogue is, "I'm really happy." Well, sort of maybe sounds like it, or "I'm really happy." This changes the way this sounds. So that's what coaching looks like. It's the same thing. And I'm gonna take something that I got from you and go, okay, I like that. I'm gonna fold that into my repertoire. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
go to another coach and they're gonna say something different. I'm like, no, I don't like that, but I like the. And you develop your own style, just like any actor. Just it's the same way. It's the same thing.
Interesting. Now, do you have a uh, hot water and honey and lemon for, the type
I
of
Okay, so this is cold water. Usually this is tea. So yes, I have both. I'm not so much which tea doesn't matter. Something warm, something cold. This is for just pure hydration, period, just water in the system. And the warmth is for when the voice gets tired or gets a little scratchy or whatever,
uh
something just to warm it up. But yes, there are narrators though and voice actors that have very specific regimens, very
yeah,
specific. And that's, like any athlete or whatever that has their good luck thing before the game. Or, there's
sure.
same thing. Yeah.
Got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
or else it's jinxed. Right. Right.
so interesting. What was the biggest like you start doing these like smaller books,
Yeah.
smaller like
Yeah.
jobs. Talk a little bit about that rise through to doing like longer stuff.
Sure. So again, so like I said, there's websites out there and you go and you audition. I was lucky. I was lucky. I started doing it in February. I got hired for my first book in April, maybe even March. I'm not sure. That's
Wow.
really fast. There are people that will audition for months and months and months and nothing. And again, marathon, not a sprint. You audition for everything you can possibly audition
Right.
for and see what sticks to the wall. I got lucky. Something stuck early. And it was a book about it was a book on astrophotography, how to take pictures of planets and stars and stuff like that. So it was a technical nonfiction book. That was the first book I ever did. And you can get hired and get paid one of two
Hmm.
ways: either royalty share, most books are out there on Amazon, on Audible. Amazon takes 60%, you and the author split 40%. So you get 20% of
Hmm.
every share of every sale. It's not a lot of money unless the book sells a ton. Or you can get paid up front at a certain rate.
Yeah.
That first book I did, I got paid up front for a certain rate, which that was another big score, as opposed to doing royalty share. Um, so that's that started there, and then it is literally just a traction thing of rolling downhill. You pick up steam and you just keep auditioning, and with every book that you do, every audition that you do, you're learning, you're getting practice on how to do it better for the next one, and then hopefully, you just you get some titles under your belt, and you can raise your rate a little bit higher, and command a higher fee, and until you're up in the normal industry range, so to speak.
You were talking about those first couple jobs of auditioning and
Yeah.
getting a job pretty quick, like from starting in February, March or April,
Right.
you're doing your first
Yeah.
job. What was that first job, and then how did that kind of progress after that?
So that first job was a book on astrophotography, how to take pictures of planets and stars and stuff like that. So it was
Whoa.
a technical nonfiction book, relatively short, I think maybe 3 hours long, something like that. A book that I got shortly after that was a book on, it was literally called This Book Will Put You to Sleep. And it was a set, yeah, it was a collection of short, like 1, 2 paragraph long, non sequential, just vignettes, whatever, something that I can read like this, that your brain doesn't pay attention to, that you can listen to when you fall asleep, that's just going to make la la. So there was no story. It was just
Wow.
talky, 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 talky. Yeah. And then it literally, it just goes from there. You keep doing, you just keep doing, until, like I said, you get practiced enough, you get good enough that you can raise your rate to where you're getting into the industry standards, stuff like that.
Huh.
Um, and that's where I'm at now. I'm still striving for the big names, Blackstone, Simon and Schuster, Random House, stuff like that. I'm still trying to get on with them. I'm on rosters and things like that, but there's so many narrators out there, literally so many. And you and I could both be narrators, and we both go up for the same book, and one of us gets it and the other one doesn't. It's not necessarily because the one who didn't get it is bad. The author has a certain voice in their head, and
Right.
it was your voice this time. It's not mine. I could be just as good, very talented, all that other stuff, but this isn't what the author was listening heard in his head. He heard your voice,
Is there a
and you just
way
have to
that,
roll with those punches.
yeah, totally interesting. Is there a way to set yourself apart? Is there a way to like find a style, or is that, am I off base there?
Well,
Because other
no, no,
creative,
no. Yeah, right. Well, like any actor, Leonardo DiCaprio acts a certain way, Tom Cruise acts a certain way, Brad Pitt, all those things. Let's take the name du jour, Ray Porter. He narrated
yeah,
Project Hail Mary. Okay, excellent book to begin with. His narration of that book was a world apart. Ray is very distinctive in his narration. It comes from his background as an actor. He's been an actor for decades also, but it's just his style. Now, I'm not going to, I don't want to. I could try and emulate and copy him, but then it's obviously,
sure.
okay, look, this and this guy, he's copying Ray Porter. So you take something from this coach. It's just like break in. It's just like break in. Phase one, your FTO is going to say, you're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and you're going to do it. You're going to go to phase two, and your FTO is going to go, you're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and you're going to go, yeah, but phase one didn't, I don't care. We're on phase two. You do it my way.
Right.
Same thing with phase three. And when you're done, you pick and choose
Right.
from all of your FTOs what works for you within the rules, and you form this is how I police. Well, this
Yeah,
is how I narrate.
collage.
I mean, I've got there's Eric in there, but then there's okay, well, Scott said to do this and Ray said to do that. It's you develop
Yeah.
like any acting, like anything, you develop your own style. And you're hoping that style is what publishers and authors want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. Has
Yeah.
How often are you doing work? Like how often are you in the studio?
Knock on knock Yeah, knock on wood. I've been consistently busy, consistently meaning, yeah, I've had books on my queue to do for over a year. I'm working with two authors who I'm doing their series of books. They're independent authors, but I'm doing their series. I'm on book 5. I just finished today. I just finished recording book 5 or 6 for one author. Michael Harbron is his name, Harbron, and I'm doing his interview with the Devil series.
Wow.
There's another author. Her name is Corinne Arrowwood, and she's got romancy type. Oh, I wish I could show you the cover art, because that's the voice I'm doing, and it's like that does not look like me. I mean, he's a giant ex-marine, former marine. Just and it's like okay, but she's like, no, your voice is his voice. I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I've been consistently busy for over a year, and with a lot of creative type jobs, there are ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Luckily, the ebbs have been few and short. But that's also why you audition, 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 and then hope for and just hope they come in,
It's a numbers game.
So it's 1,000% a numbers game. A
Yeah.
1000%, thousand
Yeah.
percent.
Did you have other creative pursuits prior to this that inform a little bit of what you're
I
doing?
didn't.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't. I'm when I was on the job, I was also the assistant PIO, public information officer, for those who don't know. So I liked speaking. I liked teaching
Mhm.
classes. I liked doing Start Smart. I liked getting up. I was in front of the camera for our office a lot whenever the news would come up for some reason or whatever. So fortunately for me, I like to talk, you
Mhm.
know, and I say this tongue in cheek, but I kind of don't mean it tongue in cheek. I like the sound of my own voice. I
Sure.
do. I enjoy playing characters for somebody else's words. I enjoy doing that. I
Yeah.
enjoy pausing here, stretching this word out. I enjoy it. I like it. I
Yeah.
have a creative side to me, which is odd for a police officer, you know. But then again, I was never a chippy because I wanted to uphold the law. No, it was a job that fit the moment, when I
Right.
was looking to get out of the military. I was
Yeah.
never a kid that grew up, watching police cars and dreaming about becoming a police officer. That's not what happened. It was a job I could do. I could do it well, and it made me happy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
I totally understand that. I mean, it was, I think the regimented lack of, I had to find different creative ways in the job to fulfill that need for me as a creative person,
okay. Okay.
painter, a tattooer. I had to, you know, write a certain way within the limits of what my accident investigation report writer, was going to approve.
Right.
But maybe I got a little creative with
Right.
that. Maybe I was trying to be more creative with the way that I was handling an investigation or the way that I was looking at something. For sure, in enhanced officer safety, that might have been what I was up at the academy for because I was part of the enhanced officer safety instruction team, and um,
Okay.
we might have been up there for meetings or doing something there for that
I
team.
when AOST became a standard part, I was an AOST instructor. I was a taser instructor.
Okay.
Uh, ugh.
Yeah, that was never fun
Heebie-jeebies.
getting tased. Um,
I went to AOST instructor school down at South Academy, and
well,
oh my God, it was so painful. I had bruises for weeks. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But it was fulfilling.
it
It was
really was.
fulfilling. You know?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was always into whether it was, jujitsu when I first started into the academy. It's where I was first introduced to jujitsu, Krav Maga, like some of these different,
Oh wow.
creative martial arts or fighting systems. I always loved that
Yeah.
stuff. I loved the idea of
Yeah.
that sort of like human manipulation stuff, and I still do. I
Yeah.
still love it. Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about. I want to hear the stories of these tattoos. We have matching tattoos. We're tattoo
Okay.
twins. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell me about
Twinsies.
the toy and tell me about some of your other work.
So so okay, so I I have slash had a very large back piece
Okay.
that I am in the process of removing. It's about 85% gone. And the
Wow.
first thing people ask, why are you getting, yeah, why are you getting it removed? Because you're a tattoo artist, free tattoos are not good. And
And
I'll
good
just leave it at
tattoos are
that.
not
Free
free.
tattoos are not good. Yes, you get what you pay for. And so
Absolutely.
it's just ugly. It's just ugly. And I don't see it. It's on my back. I don't have eyes in the back of my head.
Yes.
But my wife sees it, and my wife saw it, and she's just like, enough is enough kind of thing. So I finally said, all right, and that tattoo is 20 years old,
Right.
something like that, 15, 16 years old, something like that. So I finally looked up and went about removing it. And I would dare say, have you ever had a tattoo removed?
No, but I hear it's like even like 10 times worse than getting it. And the
It's worse.
back is
It's worse.
surprisingly painful.
It's worse. So it was worse in the beginning. I'm First of all, the ink is so gone now, and I'm so used to it. It doesn't phase me anymore. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, for about the first 9 to 12 months, and you go have sessions every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
It was excruciating. It was worse than a tattoo. So anyway, so that's what's gone. This, this I had gotten divorced and was being a bachelor and stuff like that. And I said, well, I'm going to go get a tattoo. And, I wanted a koi fish. So this was one session, outlining and color. He did it
Nice.
all in one session. And it was interesting, your body parts go numb after a little while. And it's like, okay, he can keep going. He was getting down towards the end and my pain threshold started going like this.
Yeah.
Like, you need to finish soon. You need
Yep.
to finish soon because this is not happening much longer. And it'd been, 3.5, 4 hours, something like that.
For
So anyway,
sure.
so yes, this is just, yeah, this is my koi
Yeah.
fish. And this is, um, his name is Sasha Conklin in Encino at
Okay.
Clandestine Rabbit was where I got it. Clandestine Rabbit in Encino. And he
Cool.
also did this. I just wanted a pirate chick. I just
Yep.
did. I just wanted a pirate chick, you
I
know.
love it.
And he did this one too. This is actually covering my absolutely first tattoo. My first tattoo was right here. It was just two Celtic dolphins about yay big, just in
Yes.
black right there.
Yeah.
So that's all that's covering that.
You have
Um,
like
yeah,
the classic Americana on on the one arm, and you have the classic
yep,
Japanese on the other
yep,
arm. Both
yeah,
very
yeah,
much, both very much have the same like heavy line, solid shading, brighter color.
yeah,
They have some of the same qualities to them, that I absolutely love. So I was very much
yeah,
into that same, not only doing that work, but also getting that work. It's most of what I have is in
yeah,
line with those two styles.
yeah, yeah. And I've told people tattoos, be careful. They can be addicting. You
Sure.
get one and you want more. But now, having gone through everything I've gone through, no more tattoos. Um,
Okay.
and they're expensive. Let's be honest. The tattoos are expensive. They're,
They
they're
can
not
be.
they're not a cheap hobby.
No.
Yeah, they're not a
No.
cheap hobby.
So
But
so no
but
more
I'm
time.
I'm
Yeah.
no,
No.
not yeah. And like I said, this one, I'm hoping by the end of this year we should be done. There are parts of it that are almost completely gone. The darker parts are still there and stuff, but
Mm.
I'm learning about the body and how it removes ink and stuff as I'm going through this. So
Yeah.
right now she's at the point where she's not getting some spots because there's hyperpigmentation going on, and so she can't tell, is that tattoo or is that hyperpigmentation because of the procedure. But it's
Interesting.
way dimmer, especially when I look in the mirror and look at this and then compare that to the back. I'm like, oh my God, you can
Totally.
barely see anything. Yeah.
Will you
So it's a
so you
fascinating
won't get
process.
so you won't get the back redone. Just get it
No,
done with,
no.
move on.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I love it.
Yeah.
To each his
Yeah.
own. I mean, it is
Yeah.
something that, tattooing has been something that has given me a lot in my life. Started in the mid
Sure.
90s, tattooed up until, fairly recently in some capacity. Did it for almost 30 years. And all through the time, I always had my secondary employment paperwork in with the Highway Patrol and the PD that I
Yeah.
worked for so that I could do it. And yeah, I built a whole new clientele of people that would come to me in law enforcement. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude. Eric, how fascinating, man. I just love the diversity in life. It is so cool to be able to sit down and have a conversation like this. And I really appreciate you coming on and spending a little bit of time with
not a
me.
problem at all. Not a problem at
Yeah.
all. It was a good conversation. It's
Yeah.
small world. It's just weird. It's weird that we knew each other. I knew of you, like whatever, and just yeah, a lot of weird little connections.
Yeah.
But I
I
guess
love it, dude.
that was something that when I came on the department, brand new, and you hear one officer, say down in San Diego, go, oh yeah, I know him up in in Wairika, and you're like, how can you know somebody, at the other end of the state when there's 6,000 officers, and then as you progress in the department, and you and I work together for 2 years, and then one of us transfers somewhere else, and then 4 years
Yeah.
from later we meet. Hey, dude, how's it been? It is. You know a lot of people.
Right,
You know a lot of
absolutely.
people.
Or to your point, you're at in service at the academy and you meet somebody, you sit down at the same table and you
Yep.
connect in some way. And then,
Yeah.
you happen to see them at another thing. And then all of a sudden,
Yep.
you're buddies. And so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I love it, man. And again, thank you so much for sharing. It's been super
Of
interesting to
course.
hear about what you're doing now. And, this goes to show if you have a passion for something, you can make it work. And you just got to take the consistent action, audition, 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 right?
Yeah, you gotta hit the beat. You gotta go out there and you gotta patrol. You gotta look for stuff. You have to
I,
look for it. It's
yeah,
not gonna fall in your lap most of the time.
I love dispatch, but never let dispatch tell you what you're going to go do on the job. That's what that's when I got to the PD. That's what I don't know,
Mhm.
one of my like first and second. I had the same FTO for like a couple phases, and Johnny U, that guy was awesome, man. And he's like, all right, we're going out and we're not letting dispatch tell us what to do. We're gonna go out and find some stuff today. And I think, man,
Sounds
go and hunt
familiar.
for it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Eric,
sounds
where can
familiar.
people learn more about you? Where can they, get in touch with you? If somebody's writing a book,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure, absolutely. If I'm assuming our names are at the bottom of the screens that they're seeing
Yeah.
there, that's my
Yep.
website, ericpriessman.com, no space in between the words, ericpriessman.com, and therefore ericpriessman@gmail.com. But
Amazing.
yeah, ericpriessman.com takes you to my narrator website, and you can reach out to me there. And, we'll see you in the funny pages, as they say.
I love it, Eric. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
All right,
Everybody
man.
for listening. And Eric, stay on here with me once we wrap.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everybody, share this with a friend. It means the world to me. Hopefully, it can be entertaining and it can give you a little smile during your day. Please enjoy your right now. Stay sharp, and we'll see
Be
you in the
safe.
next episode.